Welcome back to Oulton Park. Hope you had a lovely Easter Sunday. Here on Easter Monday, it's the 5th round of the GB4 Championship. Completely different conditions to Saturday. If you saw the coverage on Saturday, a nice warm day, about 8 degrees today. So it's going to be a little bit tricky to get those tyres up to temperature. But let's find out what happened in round 4 as Alex Walker storms to a massive lead and a massive victory in the 4th round of the GB4 Championship.
Nicholas Taylor is alongside in the front row, and then it's hill speed all over row number 2. Let's get ourselves underway in the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. But I think we've had an issue on the start. There's another one from Nicholas Taylor from Mills as well, and I believe Elias Aldestam's had a bit of an issue on the start. It's Megan Jilks in the second position with Maserati in that third. I wasn't 100% sure what was going on there, but we had multiple drivers having issues, and Maserati trying to get around the outside of a teammate. Oh, Megan Jilks on the inside, around the outside of Cascades. Maserati goes and up into second place. Issued to one of the Kevin Mills cars, but thankfully Waberski's got going, and I think that's George Line in 5th place. I don't quite know how he's got there, just managing to dart past all of the chaos and carnage from 11th position. There he is, up into 5th place. As we've got side by side, there's Jack Sherwood going around the outside of Elias Alderstam, a bit further down the order. Back up to the battle though for second position. Waberski, who had a podium, just a single podium at Snetterton. It was in that second race where he was alongside Tom Mills, who is in the pit lane. Took there from Jack Sherwood. Elias Alderstam defensive to the inside in the red, white and yellow highlighted Vortec machine, just trying to more so keep Jack Sherwood at bay in the black and yellow Elite Motorsports car rather than attacking his teammate. We know that every time they tick off a corner, a lap, they're losing opportunities. They're not getting the next one. There's the look back down the inside from Waberski. We return. Whoa, Jack Sherwood! My goodness, the black and yellow car completely sideways. Therefore, Jared Waberski in the grey and blue car, the number 20. No way to pass just yet. The 64 of Megan Jilks, potentially dropping off of her teammate a little bit, Max Maserati, who's holding on to second position and holding on very well, not setting the same kind of lap times as Alex Walker, who's leading the way at the moment by a monumental 7 seconds right now. Certainly not the gaps we're seeing for this battle for second, third and fourth. Very close there is Jared Waberski in the number 20 car, looks to the inside, coming down into Hislops, commits on the brakes, gets alongside, touches the curb on the inside, goes around the outside. He's got the inside though for Knickerbrook, doesn't need it. Position ticked off. Megan Jilks down to 4th position, but boy did she put on an absolute fight. Oh, there's a crash down there. Who would that be? I think it's one of the Graham Brunton races. It's Logan Hanna. Oh, down. That's it, of course. Let's see what happens. So she's battling with her teammate, actually, with George Line straight down the inside. She's overcooked that just ever so slightly. She's gone in a bit too deep. The race victory, the number 41 Elite Motorsports car of Alex Walker, victorious here at Oulton Park. And there's Jack Sherwood going straight down the inside of Nicholas Taylor. That battle for 6th position. The podium across the line. A great podium for Maserati and Waberski. We'll see how close they are across the line. Nicholas Taylor just trying to get up into 6th position on his recovery drive. And he does it at the line. That is so close. Once again, it is 1/10 of a second, 0.116 of a second, and Taylor gets back up in the 6th position. That is the same place that he recovered to last round at Snetterton in that second race after the spin.
Now that we have our 3 drivers on the podium, we will ask Dan Cabbage to present first of all our race winner with his trophy.
Well, I'm here with the race winner, Alex Walker. I mean, you won by 9 seconds in an 11-lap race. That's nearly 1 second a lap you made up on the people behind you. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you, yeah. Obviously, I got a bit of a gap off the start anyway, so from then it was just, to be honest, I was trying to save my tyres more than anything for the rest of the weekend. But yeah, once I saw the gap opening up more and more, I was pretty relaxed the whole race, to be honest.
And I mean, Max was behind you. I mean, I'd love to be asking you how the challenge was from him, but I mean, we were watching on our live stream there that, you know, you were coming around corners and you were out of shot by the time that other people were there. Do you think we're going to see a repeat of this in the second race, because you're starting on pole for that one as well?
I doubt it, to be honest. I think everyone will be a bit hotter off the start, but yeah, obviously it was nice to get a win in such a dominant style. But yeah, I don't think it'll be the same later on, and hopefully we'll have a bit more of a fight.
There we go, Alex Walker extending your lead at the top of the championship in GB4. Congratulations, best of luck in the next race. We'll see you on Monday. I've got to find the man that came second, Max Maserati, with hill speed. You're a very confident man. I'm gonna try and dent that a little bit, because I feel like, you know, we need to be real here. You were second, yeah, but you were second over 9 seconds behind.
Yeah.
I mean, what Alex was impressive there, right?
Oh, Alex did a mega job. Absolutely, yeah. You know, they clearly, I don't really think there's much more to say than that. He was so quick. You know, he just at the start he went. I was happy with my move on Megan at Cascades. I was actually really happy with it. And then, but then yeah, he just drove away. I just couldn't keep up. As simple as that. Like, so we ended up having our own race that far back. So I know I'm going to get loads of like first of loser texts from all my friends.
Hey, look, it's fine. Look, second is admirable. Like, you know, was there a little bit of a challenge there going on with Jared? He did well to get around Megan.
Yeah, he did. It's always me and Jared. Every race, it's always me and him. There's like, what was the gap that time?
Oh, I don't have it on me, but
Okay.
yeah, I know what you're saying. It was close.
Yeah, I mean, well, no, that was actually the most we've ever had between us. Normally it's only like a tenth. So.
Oh well, yeah, of course. That one we had at Snetterton was very close.
To be like, oh, it's not side by side this time to the line between me and him. But yeah, I mean, start off the weekend second. I haven't been to Oulton in 3 years, so we'll take that, bank some good points, and then hopefully moving on to tomorrow we can make some changes and I can put Alex under a little bit more pressure. But we'll see, and then we have the reverse grid race, and that's going to be really interesting because I think we saw how hard it kind of was to overtake there. So see what happens.
Very impressive, very impressive. Still doing well in the championship. Max Maserati there, coming second in this race, the fourth round. Here we go. The man that Max was just saying you were challenging the whole way, Jared Alderstam, and I believe there was some concern that you may not have even made the race.
Yeah, in qualifying we had quite a big problem. We had the booster pipe come off twice in qualifying actually. So by the time I got out, I only did one warm up and one flyer. So we qualified down in 7th, which wasn't our real pace. So we got that sorted, and then in the race it just head down, and I managed to get a really good first opening few laps, and then I made a risky move for 3rd, and then I was closing down for 2nd, but it's just really hard to overtake here. So I had to settle for 3rd in the end, but considering our start to the weekend, this is really good.
I was going to say that move on Megan, you seem to bide your time a little bit because it is so tricky, and I mean, how did you know it was the right time?
Yeah, you almost have to set him up like 3 corners before, and then she got quite a bad exit out of the first chicane, so I knew this is my chance to make a move for 3rd, and around a track like this you just have to almost just set it.
So Alex Walker storming to a massive lead and a massive victory there. He is your championship leader after 4 rounds of the GB4 Championship on 112 points. The guy behind him is the most consistent driver so far over these 4 races, Max Maserati. He's on 91 points, and I found out a bit more about the big character of the 21-year-old.
My name's Max Maserati, I'm 21 and I'm driving for Hill Speed. There we go.
What's experience in racing coming into GB4 for people that don't know you?
So I did karting, and then I did Renault Clio Juniors. I then went into Formula Ford, and then I did British F3, which is now GB3, and now I'm doing GB4.
Going into the championship, it's a brand new championship, and it's it's a lot of unknown there. What are you hoping for this season?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I mean, I literally got the call Monday to come in and do it, so I'm a bit like, everything just happened so quickly. So I hadn't driven since like July last year, so I spent like 9 or 10 months out of the car. So that Thursday morning was a bit of a shock to get back into it, but here we are. So I think my expectation will still be fairly high. I want to go out and win, but I had to shake the rust off first. But yeah, I think GB4 is an amazing championship, and MSV and Palm have done really well to create something that it doesn't matter like how old you are or what experiences you have, you can come in and do it. I think it's going to be a brilliant year, and it's going to be a brilliant championship. The car is mega.
How many laps did it take to shake that rust off?
I think I make the odd mistake here and there, so I think there's still bits of me where it's where I'm still kind of making those errors.
You don't have to be an expert in motorsport to know it's quite expensive to drive these fantastic cars around tracks. The good thing about the GB4 Championship, it's a lot more affordable, and it means that some people, like Max there, can get on the track when maybe they weren't intending on racing this season. Now, drivers will drive for different reasons, and they'll drive, with funds from different places. So some drivers will have funding from private sources like parents or maybe sponsors, and some will race for other reasons. Now, Elias Alderstam is from Sweden, and he's racing, especially this weekend, for a completely different cause. I caught up with him earlier to find out a little bit more about it. Well, I'm here in the Fortec garage to speak to one of their GB4 drivers, Elias Alderstam. You're racing with a charity, and you've done a lot of charity work, and I've heard all about it. But please tell me what it is especially you're doing this weekend here at Oulton Park.
Well, this weekend we have some paintings back from a children's hospital with cancer on the car, so they have something to look forward to and share on here in England. They can see their own paintings and pictures and broadcast as well. It's just very fun to light up their mood, and also we have the Ukraine charity with where every poll I get with now I didn't get one unfortunately, but if I get one I will donate all that money to charity and double the money myself with my family as well.
That's incredible, and I've heard that you've done a lot for these this charity and the kids in hospital with cancer back home, and things like ping pong tables, and just trying to, I guess, make them feel as best they can while they go through something so terrible.
Yeah, it's awful to have cancer, and not alone with the children. I mean, walking into the corridors with it's like a prison almost, and it's so depressing to see. And I just want to help them because it's just a bad time and cheer them up a bit.
And in terms of the design on the front of the car that we can see, this was designed by two kids in particular.
Yeah, the one guy is called Luve. He has cancer and he's 15-year-old. Very good guy. He's very hopeful even though it's cancer. And Axel as well, 10-year-old, like suffering, and he was very curious about the racing and really loved it. So good to see when they light up a bit when you talk about racing.
That's great to see, and obviously we do have another Swede on the grid for the same team in the GB3 championship in Joel. How do you think he's going to get on in this championship as we get underway this weekend at Oulton Park?
Well, I've raced against him back in Sweden, and he's a phenomenal driver. I mean, I can't stress enough how good he is, and he's always one step ahead in the mind games, and you can't really beat him. It's hard to beat him. I tried for 2 years and didn't do it, and he's just a phenomenal driver. I think he will do very well here in GB3.
Okay, and finally, how can people find out more about the charity that you run if they want to get involved, maybe donate, or at least show their support?
They can visit my website, aldestam.se, and then they can read into it more and then maybe donate. It's a bit hard to donate if you're not Swedish, but you can mail us with the email address on the website and find out more.
Okay, perfect. Well, people can get in touch if they want to do that. Elias, best of luck this weekend here at Oulton Park.
Thank you.
Great cause there for Elias to be driving for. If you want to watch him in this upcoming race, he's driving for Fortec. It's a red car. He is number 8, so look out for Elias as he drives around here. But as you can hear behind me, some of the other cars are getting warmed up for the other races this race weekend. So let's find out a bit more about where we're racing here in Cheshire. This is our track guide to Oulton Park, and after that we'll see Elias driving around so we get the track from his perspective.
Well, here's the circuit we're racing at this weekend. Oulton Park in Cheshire in the UK, a fantastic track built and opened back in 1953. Of course, back then it was a square on the Foster's Loop. Now we roll it down on the international layout down towards the Island Loop out into the Shell Oils corner. A fantastic racetrack that provides many challenges over its 2.7 miles. So many lumps and bumps around here. Honestly, it is a difficult track. 17 corners, all of them genuinely terrifying, and plenty of bumps to avoid. Oulton Corner, Shell Oils, Druids, all of these are fantastic corners. All the drivers love to attack it around here. It's a tricky circuit though for overtaking. Not too many heavy braking zones. Down into Oulton, down into Hislops, down to Lodge. Your only real overtaking opportunities. On board with Elias Alderstam then around the Oulton Park International Circuit as we head down towards the first corner of Oulton. Tricky one here. Can't run too far wide though, because of course race control will keep their eye on that one when it comes to track limit excursions. Down Denton's, and that drop all the way into Cascades. Bit of a late apex here as you run it out wide over to the right hand side of the track and open up the run down Lakeside towards Island Bend. 500 metres this one down towards the Shell Oils corner. Couple of bumps, bit of undulation, and it may be a good overtaking opportunity. Not the largest braking zone though into Shell Oils corner. Obviously a very high speed corner down into the banking. Pull it up late and then straight out onto the exit. Next corner is Britain's, the chicane. You've got to watch out for the curbing on the left hand side. Not an easy one to get right, but you need to for the 20-minute race. Going to be very tricky throughout the running. Over Hilltop and then down towards Hislops. This is another great overtaking opportunity. You can do the inside or the outside here, as it will give you the advantageous line going into Knickerbrook. Again, watching out for the curves, pull it back over to the left-hand side, and then really abuse this one, running through Knickerbrook and then up Clay Hill. Brilliant section of the racetrack, and then we're flat all the way around 560 metres, all the way down to Druids, where they'll be watching through this flat-out left kink, pull it over to the left as far as you can go, watch out for the grass, double apex right-hander at Druids, as well run down towards the final corner, the last overtaking opportunity into Lodge Corner, probably the heaviest braking zone of the racetrack. Pull it up for another late apex because you want to get a nice drive as we head down the hill and then back up over Deerleap, and that there is a lap on board with Elias Alderstam at the Oulton Park International Track.
Well, we're here in the assembly area where the cars basically sit until it's ready to get to the grid and do their formation lap. So you can see all of the cars here waiting. Alex Walker, of course, who won that first race of the race weekend on Saturday. If you take a look at his car, just something I've just seen here. I've just been chatting to one of the guys involved with Elite Motorsports. The Speed of Sight logo here, which is a local charity which gives people the opportunities with visual impairments to actually drive racing cars, which sounds absolutely fantastic. Imagine a lot of people with problems with their sight don't get to actually sort of drive racing cars, and it's all part of Mike Newman, who holds the visual land speed record for visually impaired drivers, so it's all part of his kind of thing. So great work that Mike Newman's doing there. We can hear the cars getting fired up. If you just walk with me, we see Nicholas Taylor here, very, very quick. He struggled with a few starts here in the Fortec car, number 66, the red and white car. Struggled with the starts. I know he's been practicing in his garage, just getting that clutch control ready. So hopefully he's going to get a better start, starting P2 on the grid here. Elias Aldestam, who we heard just before we rode on board with him, also racing for a charity. I can't say what it says on his car, but there is a nice drawing that some kids have done. It has been bleeped out, so you can probably show it here on the camera. Some kids here who've designed a little drawing there who are suffering from cancer back home in Sweden. So he's racing to raise money and to raise awareness of his charity, Racing for Cancer. As we move down the grid, we can see the hill speed of Max Maserati here. Max Maserati, one of the most consistent drivers, second in the last two races, both the one here and at Snetterton in the first race weekend. And he is second in the championship, so he's going to be looking to be getting ahead of the two cars between him and Alex Walker in the Elite. Well, it looks like the cars are going out now. You also see Megan Gilks there in sixth, her brother Nick Gilks. We'll hear from them a bit later, always here supporting. And the cars are now going out to make their way for the formation lap. So I will hand over to your commentator, Lewis McGlade.
Wow. Race number 2 of the weekend, round number 5 of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. This should be, to be honest, quite a fun one. I'm Lewis McGlade. Here's Pryor alongside, got a bit of co-commentator action here. Hello, great track this one, isn't it?
Awesome, great to be here as well. Great to be back at the track at the GB4 and GB3 race weekends. Other side of the glass this time, but it's hopefully I'll be able to help you out on the comms today as where I can.
Yeah, now obviously to give everyone a little bit of background as to why you're jumping in, obviously raced in GB3 a couple of years ago, race winner around here as well, so you know what it's like to take the top honours around it. With it being such a difficult circuit to overtake, how do you find your way up in order? How do you defend for a position as well? It's pretty tricky.
Yeah, obviously Oulton Park, one of the most tricky and technical tracks on the calendar we've got here. Lots of bumps, undulations. It's quite a narrow circuit, and obviously in GB3 especially, it's you've got the downforce, so following is quite difficult, especially in that high-speed sections and the second half of the lap. So generally, you know, overtaking around here is more tricky than other tracks, and if you're ahead, then it's all about not making mistakes, and if you're behind, trying to make an overtake. As we saw yesterday, I think in the GB3 race, I think it was Farrier and Reese was right up Farrier's gearbox for the whole race, and as long as you don't make a mistake, there's not really a way through. So it's all about trying to force the driver ahead into making a mistake, and if they don't, then that's it. So yeah, all about consistency, hitting your marks, and making sure that you have a good, clean race.
Yeah, it's such a difficult track, such a fun one though. By the way, for anyone who's just joining us for the first time in the weekend, of course, we did have a race on Monday. I keep messing this one up. It's on Saturday. We're on Monday today, not Sunday. That race win was done by Alex Walker in dominant fashion. Max Maserati and Jared Boberski were those that joined him on the podium, but it was a very dominant win from Alex Walker. The the times they're taking for the grid order in this is from the second fastest time in the qualifying session, which does mean that Alex Walker will start from his second consecutive pole position within the GB4 Championship, with Nicholas Taylor and Elias Alderstam alongside down second and third. Could be a good opportunity for Aldestam to grab a podium, as we'll see them line up on the grid and then do a formation lap. It's so critical to get that first lap done, and we saw a lot of cars stalling yesterday.
Yes, that seems to be a bit of a recurring theme in the GB4, whether the drivers are just not used to the standing starts. Obviously, being such young drivers, and in GB4 it's a great first step from karting, or even in first step in motorsport. Some of them getting that car off the line has been a bit tricky. We've seen a few stallers. Again, Nicholas Taylor.
Nicholas Taylor.
Nicholas
yeah,
Taylor,
no, I kept calling him Alex Taylor
yes.
earlier, don't worry.
Nicholas Taylor obviously had showed great pace at the first round, but unfortunately had an issue off the line in race 3 at Snet, and then same again yesterday from the front row. So I'm sure that he will have been doing work with the team to make sure that he's going to pull off the line excellently in this race. Alex Walker yesterday, what a drive! I mean, he just flew off the line, and then that was it. No one saw him for the rest of the race. So he's obviously got his start sorted. And it's obviously, but also with the start, it's so important around here, because as we know, it's so hard to overtake. So a good start can set your race up really well, or on the other way, if you have a bad start, obviously that's very hard to come back through.
Yeah, obviously for Nicholas Taylor, who won the first round of the GB4 Championship back in Stetterton a couple of weeks ago, then slightly struggled in the second race with some cold tyres, differential on grip. We'll speak about where the tyres are, as we've got a little bit of a delayed start.
I imagine that's for the BMW that stopped from the practice, isn't it? So we'll see how long that will be. That might, again, this is all that period where the drivers are all fully hyped and they're ready to go, and that delayed start sometimes.
How hard is that?
It is definitely, because you do get yourself fully hyped up for the race, and the adrenaline's going, and you're feeling like ready to go, and then that delayed start can throw you off your game sometimes. So the drivers are a bit calmer, and maybe got themselves a bit more settled, feel a bit more confident. That might play into their hands, and also that they'll be making sure that they're watching their engine temperatures. Yeah. Again, it's a bit cooler today, so it's not so much of an issue. But if it's hot and you're sitting on the grid with your engine idling, these cars can overheat. So the drivers that are a bit more aware of that sort of thing, that might even help them in this one. If we see any cars potentially limping round after the start, then that could be because of overheating.
Well, they're about to get underway then for the formation lap. Nicholas Taylor alongside on the front row of the grid. I think for him, he needs to get a good start here. Not so much just for him getting away, but more so for the idea that he needs to have an actual start. The last 2 races, he's stalled on the start. Let's take a look at the starting order, though, for the 5th round in the GB4 Championship. Alex Walker starts on pole position ahead of Nicholas Taylor. Those two have started on the front row. This is their 4th time in doing so. Elias Aldestam and Max Maserati, the most consistent man in the championship. He's finished 4th, 2nd and 2nd. Starts from 4th place in the opening race of today. Behind them in 5th position, it is Tom Mills. And watch out for him making good starts. Had a few back in Stetterton a while ago. And then Megan Jilks missed out on a podium yesterday, but obviously a race winner back in Stetterton. Jack Sherwood starts from 7th place. Another one of those drivers that was struggling a little bit with pace yesterday. And then Jessica Edgar in 8th place, who is Johnny Edgar's cousin, not sister. I'll make that correction. Johnny did message me yesterday to correct that one on air. So there we go. Cousin, not sister. And then behind that, it was Jared Wilberski, who had a few issues in qualifying after a couple of turbo issues. Then Logan Hanna, George Lines and Chloe Grant, the Graham Brunton racing car, starting 10th through 12th. Of course, for George Lines, his first round of the championship, and him just jumping into it last minute, that's got to be pretty difficult.
Yeah, especially at this round, everyone's a race in. Oulton Park's a difficult track. I'm interested to see how Jared Wilberski gets on in this race, because obviously he was very racy at Stetterton, had some great pace, and it looked like he had some great pace in race 1 as well on Saturday. Not getting the days mixed up now, it's Monday, isn't it? So hopefully he'll come through, and we'll see if we can get some racing a bit easier to follow in GB4, a little bit less aerodynamics, a little bit less wing on those cars. So there's a bit more opportunity for that maybe than in GB3. But will be interesting to see how that goes.
Well, whilst we're under a little bit of a delay, we'll head down to John and see what he's found.
Hi guys. So basically what's happening right now is the cars are on the grid. As you can see, some of the teams here just keeping the cars nice and cool, because they weren't expected to stay on the grid for as long. Now what I've understood from the marshals is they're still recovering a car from one of the races before this. Obviously here at a race weekend, lots of different championships taking place. So there's a BMW that's somewhere around Oulton Park, stricken. So at the moment they're just holding the cars on the grid here, and as you can see, the teams just making sure those cars are you can see there, in exactly the right place. Elias Aldestam just being moved slightly so that make the most of every inch up until that grid position there. But yeah, it's very important to keep the cars nice and cool. We don't want them to overheat. It's a little bit tricky, I guess, for the drivers. A lot of these drivers coming from karting, the first season in single-seater, so sitting on the grid and having this change is a little bit tricky for them. I'm being moved off the track now, so I guess, Lewis, I'll probably have to hand back to you.
No worries, John. Obviously it's a packed weekend here at Oulton Park, and that is why we have such a crowd out. Fantastic to see people out in action, ready to watch a great day's racing, and nice to see a brand new championship as well in the form of a GB4.
Yeah, very much so. Great to see a lot of fans out. Bank holiday Monday, perfect opportunity. The weather's unfortunately not quite as sunny and as nice as it was on Saturday, but still very pleasant out here. Not cold at all. Not much breeze at all, which makes it easier again. So because these cars actually are a little bit affected by the wind. So perfect day for racing, really.
Talk about like how it is like kind of difficult when you've got like a wind attacking you like from different sides and such. Like how hard can that be when you're trying to wrestle a car around it?
Yeah, it's something definitely to get used to, especially for these GB4 drivers. If they've come straight from karting, you've got such good vision in karting. You can see all around yourself, you can turn your head. Whereas when you move to a car, it is a bit disorientating because you've got the very small mirrors beside you. You've got the headrests that come right up to the sides of your head for the safety, obviously. So you do lose a bit of that spatial awareness, which you have to regain, and a bit more trust in the other drivers. So that is something to get used to, especially at the start, making sure that you're not turning in on someone. And great to see. We can see on the screen now the crowds. I mean, they'll be loving the racing, especially down by the start when there's obviously a lot of jostling for position into Old Hall at turn 1. It's quite a wide entry and then narrows down at the apex, so always creates some good racing there. It's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, I loved. I came here on Friday when they were doing the testing and such. Before I was stood down by Knickerbrook. It's such a great racetrack when it comes to the commitment. By the way, we're just being told that the car has been moved, so we should be able to get this underway. I'm not sure what we'll do with the race length as to what the stipulation is there. Obviously, it is a tight packed day, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. We'll figure it out as we go. Yeah, we'll see.
I'm sure we'll see what what goes on there. All green flags for the warm up lap now. Again, they'll all be doing their practice starts now. Tyres will be a bit cold, so it'll feel a bit different to when they actually go again.
Yeah.
And I know that in the GB4 cars, they're struggling to get tyre temperature at the first round at Snet because it was quite cold. So they'll be working very hard to get the tyre temperature. You can see there, Tom Mills.
Yeah, it was freezing cold at Snetterton, so a little bit warmer today, so hopefully should be a bit better. Just to remind you as they run around, you can see there Alex Walker starting from his second consecutive pole position in the championship, just ahead of Nicholas Taylor, the Fortec duo of Taylor and Elias Alderstam, who rolls off of third spot. There is Max Maserati, who sat in second position in the championship. Big slide there from Nicholas Taylor, clearly very comfortable with his car control on the circuit. Then Tom Mills, Megan Gilks will roll off from 5th and 6th. Jack Sherwood in 7th place in the Elite Motorsports car with Jessica Edgar behind. Jared Poberski starts from 9th place with Logan Hanna, George Lyons and Chloe Grant. They are working hard to warm these tyres.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, doing the right thing because you need to make sure that you've got the tyre temps in, especially with some of those drivers taking new, like Walker, Taylor, Alderstam, Mills and Edgar, I believe, are on 2 new tyres. Yes. They'll be taking them on the left-hand side. So those new tyres definitely take a bit longer to come in than the used tyres. And obviously, if you've got your tyres on your left-hand side not quite in and the ones on the right are warm, that can create some imbalances, which might have contributed to Taylor obviously having that little spin at Snetterton into Brundle.
Yeah, it was a pretty big spin. I mean, he was very lucky to get away with it. Yeah, just to clarify with the tyre ruling for anyone jumping in, of course, they receive 6 Pirelli tyres for the weekend in the GB4 Championship, and they can use them as they see fit. Now, obviously, you're going to take 4 fresh tyres for qualifying, because you are, because that's where it starts. But then some teams, the Hill Speed cars, the Maserati and Gilks, they both took brand new tyres for yesterday's race, so they got rid of 2 of the tyres from qualifying. Of course, they can put it back on the car for race 2 or race 3, but they're on slightly older tyres than the likes of Walker, Taylor, Alderstam, Mills and Edgar, who are on those fresh tyres. It will make a fair difference though, especially on a cold morning like this. Really.
Yeah, definitely. Again, when it's warmer, obviously they can get the tyre temperatures up a little easier when the track temp's up, but still in these GB4 cars there's not as much aero as the GB3 cars, and obviously GB3 and GB4 run on the same tyres, and when you've got more energy going through the tyre in the GB3, you can get them up to temperature a bit harder, a bit quicker. With the GB4, they'll be working very hard to get those tyres in. There is a bit of an advantage. I'd say probably with 4 new tyres, you're looking at the tune of about second or lap maybe, even around here. So 2 new tyres, you're looking at probably just over 5-6 tenths, because it makes slightly more difference if you put new tyres on the left with it being a clockwise circuit. So it's definitely something to think about. Some of the drivers will choose to save their new tyres until the reverse grid. If they know they're not going to be up there at the start of the weekend, they might choose to sort of backload their weekend on the tyres to hopefully have a good reverse grid race and make the most of that that sort of front of the grid start that they might not otherwise have.
Yeah, absolutely. Those that are running on very, very old tyres, are very old, that's very obviously a relative term, would be Jack Sherwood, Jared Wilberski, Logan Hanna, George Line and Chloe Grant. Those ones are all running tyres. They've run from qualifying all the way through race number 1 and now doing race number 2. So they're aiming, obviously, for the final race of the day for them, which will be a little bit later on. Obviously, we'll keep our eyes focused on this one, and Alex Walker rolling into his pole spot. This is where things get difficult, though. They need to keep their eyes focused on the prize and not stall.
Exactly, and also making sure, I've been hearing that there's a few issues with some of the drivers doing too many burnouts and not doing them well, and actually causing themselves clutch issues, which might be contributing to some of the drivers struggling to get away from the line. I think we've seen the last drivers pulling up to the grid now, so they're getting ready for the start.
Yeah, here we go then. Round number 5 in the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. Alex Walker on pole position with Nicholas Taylor alongside in the front row. They're underway, and finally Nicholas Taylor has got going. It's a brilliant launch, though. It's Jessica Edgar who struggled to get going in the number 17 car in the background. Tom Mills has gone from 5th position up into 4th. He's going around the outside of Elias Alderstam and has grabbed the podium spot. As we run down towards Cascades, he might well try and fight. It's Maserati who's got up into 2nd position, so Nicholas Taylor has dropped down the order. That's where Mills got up into 4th.
Yeah, what a great start from Alex Walker once again. I mean, he's pulled probably a second and a half already with the battling pack behind, but Tom Mills looking at the inside of Max Maserati there. Wow, what a good start. Nose to tail here. There's a very tricky braking zone into Shell Oils here. Not much space inside there. Well, Maserati's gone slightly wide.
Yes, Megan Jilk, she's under attack from Nicholas Taylor. So Taylor already coming back. Jack Sherwood in the 78 black and yellow Elite Motorsports car is also attacking. Jessica Edgar, unfortunately, out of the race. So another stall. We had 3 yesterday. We've got 1 today. Jack Sherwood has got past Megan Jilks, and now Jared Wilberski is also trying to attack whilst his teammate is defending in that blue and grey car with the orange highlights from Elias Alderstam for that podium spot.
Squeeze there, yeah, making sure that they're trying to get around the outside, because you can go in both inside and outside into that Hislop corner, into the Knickerbrook chicane. But no, really good start from Alex Walker, pulling away from the rest of the field, really showing that he's been doing that. And again, Maserati showing that maybe that extra couple of year or so in these cars, showing that he can make the starts work much better for him. And a real shame to see Jess Edgar not having a good start. Maybe those clutch issues coming back.
Yeah, like I say, there was the long hold prior to it, and then we were kind of rolling around, maybe a few too many burnouts. Tom Mills going for the move. Yeah, Nicholas Taylor getting to the outside of his teammate.
Can he do that? Run the outside? Well, it would be a great move if he can pull this off. Keep it clean. Yeah, he's done it. I think he's done it.
I think he'll be fought too hard. Tom Mills, though, look at that. Tom Mills has got alongside Maserati, trying to grab 2nd position. Maserati looking for his 3rd consecutive podium. Nicholas Taylor also quite close. Tom Mills has grabbed 2nd position at the moment. Maserati down to 3rd, a little bit wide. Nicholas Taylor is going to get the inside of the run down. He's on the grass as well, getting squeezed off by Maserati. Fantastic stuff.
What racing. That's amazing. So Nicholas Taylor nearly getting two people in 2 corners there. Again, great racecraft in what is a very tight and tricky track round here.
The cool kids would call that absolutely based, whilst as I've been wisely informed.
I've never heard that one myself. Maybe I'm not a cool kid.
No, I'm certainly not. Nicholas Taylor, though, tried to grab the I mean, to be fair, Taylor, after the issues that he had, I think as much as that start was not great, it was a start to the race. He is actually going.
He got going.
And that's the important bit. It's just about getting those competitions. You were saying that maybe the media
pulling away
got
from the
inside
field.
his head.
Yeah,
someone who's not getting inside his head.
Alex
what
Walker.
a dominant performance right now again.
Could be similar to, was it Saturday when he had, was it to win by 10 seconds or 9 seconds?
9.8 I think it was.
Nicholas Taylor's right on the back of Max Maserati, is putting a lot of pressure on, and as I mentioned before the race, that's pretty much, once the race gets settled down, that's all you can do, is just keep the pressure on, and hopefully the driver ahead makes a mistake. So again, Maserati I think is his 3rd year now in these cars, as the championship changed between the GB3 and GB4, because he did GB3 I think last year, 2020.
2020, he did it with you.
He did, yes. Well, in a team, but at the same time. Will Nicholas Taylor be looking for a move into Old Hall? This is one of the main braking areas. Here goes Jinx out, all having a look.
Filling the mirrors.
Filling the mirrors, definitely trying to make him, trying to force a mistake there. Let's see how that goes on. If Max can keep it clean, then it's going to be hard for Nicholas to get past here. But he's got a pace advantage, obviously qualifying 2nd in qualifying, up with Alex Walker. They were sort of the class of the field in quali, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the primary red car, the red and white, I mean, it's kind of difficult to pick the Fortec part. Here comes Nicholas Taylor in that 66, left-hand side of shot, 81 of Maserati. So a little bit of a slide there, going down into Cascades, and Maserati says no thank you. And Elias Alderstam with the green highlights is also coming into the mix as well. Maserati able to hang on right now. Nicholas Taylor getting around the outside of Island Bend, giving the inside of Shell Oils. Not yet. And Maserati still able to hang on for third position right now. Jack Sherwood in that black and yellow car is also a part of this battle, as is Maserati's teammate in that red and white car, Megan Gilks, as well as Jared Waberski. It's a pretty tight fight for the final spot on the podium. Tom Mills and Axe Walker have gone.
Yes, they're really back in the field up. This fighting at the front with Mills and Maserati and Taylor's really backing this group up, and Jared Waberski is obviously thinking, I could have some of this right at the back there, having started lower down after problems in quali.
Yeah, this is it's Dykes. This is what's showing it's so difficult to overtake. I mean, you'll know this from having raced around here about how tricky it can be to make the pass. Nicholas Taylor, who quite clearly has a bit of a pace advantage over Maserati at the moment, at least, obviously running slightly fresher tyres. Where does he find that opportunity? How does he do it? He's got to set it up surely a few corners in advance.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I mean, Oulton Park, it is one of those circuits that feels really nice when you drive because it goes left to right and flows really nicely. So if you can put someone off their rhythm by making them defend, is he going to send it up the inside? No. Oh, just a snatch of the brakes there. He's really pushing hard. But yeah, that's it, trying to set them off line to make them defend and then try and go for the cutback, because obviously maybe into turn one you go right, then you go left, and then it's another left and then a right, so trying to just put them off their marks. Here he goes, he's looking again. He's really, really hustling Maserati hard here, and if Maserati keeps it neat and tidy, then it looks like it's going to be hard for Taylor to get through here.
Yeah, Maserati was a little bit wide into Old Hall, and you're absolutely right, like just trying to sort of basically sit in the middle of the track right now and not give Nicholas Taylor any opportunity. I think Taylor's opportunity might come in the same way that Tom Mills did down into turn one.
Has he got an overlap? He's got an
overlap. He's going for it now.
Around the outside. This will be a bold move if he stays there. Oh, great move from Taylor there. Maserati very close to the grass. You do not want to be touching the grass and going off there. Looking at the inside as well. Oh, no!
Sherwood, Jack Sherwood into the rear end of Elias Alderstam. Just left it down the inside going into Shell Oils, and the two came together. How'd you make of that?
Oh, so easily done. You could see that Sherwood obviously just saw an opportunity, put his nose down the inside, and then unfortunately the gap closed up. It very much funnels down there with the banking, so it's easily done. And just a small touch here. We're going to see the replay. I'll let you talk through this.
Yeah, let's see. So watch that black and yellow 78, so straight on the inside. He's touched a bit of the grass. That is exactly what Logan Hanna did yesterday, just touched the grass on the inside, and where it's the banking, obviously then you're kind of meeting a slightly different angle, it's going to spit the car straight up the track.
Yeah, exactly, and you need to get in that banking early, so it kind of pinches down quite early there, which is obviously contributed towards that incident. But you can see that now Taylor's been released and he'll try and chase down Mills.
It's a good move.
Yeah, it was a good move. I think there might be a transponder. No, is that... The race order seems to be a bit different to what it was earlier, but Taylor is now released and is trying to chase down Alex Walker. Maserati's going to try and hold off his teammate Gilks, who's obviously going to... They've had a really good fight at was it Snetterton, I believe?
Yeah, they were battling for the lead in race 3 at Snetterton. Of course, eventually later on in the race, Gilks managed to sort of pull away. They worked really well as a team, and Megan Gilks had a bit of a slow start to the 2022 championship. Seeming to find a speed after a poor qualifying back in Snetterton. The last race results for her are 1st and 4th, so certainly finding a bit more speed as we look
at our race leader. For Walker, he's just romping away. I mean, the good thing about Oulton Park is once you're out and clear and on your own, you can really get a rhythm and you can push a little bit extra every lap, and it's a really rewarding circuit to drive when you really get in the rhythm and you get in the groove. But there is very little margin for error, so Walker will be trying to make sure that he's not pushing so hard that he makes any mistakes. Again, you can easily drop a wheel on the exit here and you can see it's banked if you touch that grass. We saw in the GB3 race on Saturday, it's very narrow there, and all you've got to do is get a wheel on. I think it was one of the Carlin cars, when he got touched, he couldn't get back on because he was beached on the he was just driving on the grass and couldn't get right back on the circuit. So it's very unforgiving when you get offline here.
We had 2 people off there. Obviously there was a contact yesterday in the GB3 race with the Carlin cars between Callum Voisin and Segrera. That was obviously in GB3, not GB4, so we're going a little bit off topic there, but yeah, it narrows up, and Tommy Smith went off there a few times as well. Like I say, it's such a difficult corner. They've not had so much of a problem here in GB4 with that corner, aside from the moves down the inside from Logan Hanna, and then obviously what we saw there from Jack Sherwood. I'm sure race control will have a little bit of a word.
Yeah, I'm sure that will, unfortunately Jack Sherwood probably just went into a gap was a space that was always going to close. You need to make the moves when there's an opportunity there, and maybe if there was a little bit more space it could have worked, but it's always a risk when you're coming from behind there. You need to have an overlap really before you start braking for it to be a safe move. So I can see why Sherwood would have put his nose in there, but it's one of those, he'll mark that down to experience and obviously make better decisions going forward. It's unfortunate, but he's always trying to make a move, so you can't blame them for that.
It's a junior category, we're still in the early stages of their open wheel racing. Jared Waberski though trying to get past Megan Gilks now down into Cascades, the grey and blue car there of Waberski, who's working his way back up the order after starting, I believe, from 9th spot. The red and white hill speeds, 81 of Maserati and 64 of Gilks, hold on for the position what is now 4th place.
Yeah, they're running running formation here. They're probably working together. I don't imagine Jilks will try and hustle Maserati too much unless she can see an opening, because she won't want to obviously let Weberski through on both of them. But obviously Weberski and the Tom Mills car will be forcing them both very hard here. Got a nice run out here by the looks of it. And obviously that Hislop and Knickerbrook chicane is one of the main overtaking opportunities. It's quite a short braking zone in these cars, even though we're quite fast. It's because we've got a lot of tyre grip here, both in GB4 and 3. That it's not actually that much of a heavy brake, so you do need that overlap, a bit like into Shell Oils. If you're going to go for a dive, you're more going to be looking into the last corner, and then maybe Old Hall at the first corner as well.
Yeah, they make like a, because obviously the speed they can carry through that first part of Hislops is quite high, courtesy obviously the grip and stuff, but they're not really attacking it super fast either way, so that you can kind of attack it at most speed. Let's see if Megan Jilks can get past. I think they are just going to work together, sure.
Yeah, a bit too far back, although she did seem very brave on the brakes on on Saturday. She made a couple of late lunges, I believe, that maybe a couple of them didn't work, but she wasn't afraid of going up the inside of the brakes, which is again, you can do that in the last corner there, because you can send it in quite late and go get that braking nice and straight, so you don't lock up. And the exit, because it's quite tight, you don't end up losing so much time maybe compared to anywhere else. And if you can get through and then release yourself, then that obviously is better for your race. Looking very close here, Maserati going defensive. Oh, Jilks had a look up the inside there. As again, you can't, Cascades is such a quick entry. You need to have that overlap before you throw it at the inside, otherwise you're going to go out into that grass at the exit, which is very unforgiving as well. It damages cars really badly if you go wide there.
Yeah, I take it back. I don't think they are going to work together. I think they're just going to go for
wishful
it.
thinking.
Yeah, no, to be fair, I mean, power to them. Max Maserati looking for another fourth place finish. He's finished fourth twice in the championship so far, then 2 seconds, now looking for another fourth. Super consistent right now, but he's under a lot of pressure from not only his teammate in Megan Jilks, but also Weberski. Here is Jack Sherwood with Chloe Grant on the inside, running round the Shell Oils corner, just trying to get past the Graham Brunton racing car in that number 10 white and blue machine, Laser Tools.
Excellent livery, those cars.
They look so good.
They look mega with the Laser Tools sponsorship on the Graham Brunton racing. They look really, really, really smart. Yeah. And I really like it when you got something a bit different, because a lot of the cars, a lot of the teams look similar colours with the red and the white, but having that sort of that fluorescent blue and the white looks excellent.
It stands out so good. And I think, like I say, Jack Sherwood just trying to
we've had a change
work
there.
his way
We've
back
had a change. Sherwood Weberski is fast. Megan
Jilks, you're absolutely
must have been into
right.
Hislops.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll be able to grab a replay of that at some point. But yes, down into Hislops. So now released, and surely based on the pace that Weberski's got right now, fourth position's only a matter of time. He's been working his way up the order.
Yeah,
fantastic stuff. Here we go.
I'll let you talk through this.
Well, let's see. He's going to get to the outside. This is what we were saying. It's not really a heavy braking zone, but straight around the outside gives you the inside for the second part of Hislops. A little bit too much curb there as well from Megan Jilks. It's a big sausage on the inside.
Excellent driving from both of them, to be honest, because that is very narrow into there, and you do carry a lot of speed, so it's very easy for the car on the inside to wash wide and then end up pinching or having some contact before the left of Knickerbrook. So really good driving from both of those. Jilks, sometimes you have to know when to concede the position, because if the place is already gone, then you don't want to risk contact, so that's really well done. And you can then fight on. As you can see, she's applying pressure back on Weberski now, maybe even looking for a move into Shell Oils. Not quite close enough this time.
Well, she's obviously not the slowest on the grid, having won a race, and fairly convincingly so. The times that they're setting at the moment, Maserati, just to give you an update, in comparison to our race leader, Maserati's last lap time was a 38.2. Our race leader did a 38.5. The race leader did a 36.8. Nicholas Taylor is the one that's flying at the moment with a 36.1.
Yes, excellent pace from Nicholas Taylor. Obviously, he's after that tricky start is getting his head down. I think Alex Walker's probably realised that he's got nearly a 6-second gap to second place, as we can see here. That he's just settling in, saving those tyres, because he still has to use 2 of those tyres. Remember, for the next 2 races, or the next race. So he don't want to take too much out of those. If the races that win is already there and he's built the gap, why not just coast it home, keep the car nice and in tune, don't hit those curbs too hard. So I'm sure that he's not giving it 110% right now, but Nicholas Taylor will be doing all he can to try and claw back some of that bad start. And we see Weberski on the back of Maserati now, as we said.
Yeah, he's really charging right now with 4 minutes and 40 seconds left, based on how it was on Saturday's race, with Alex Walker kind of close to grabbing that extra lap. So we might be looking at 4 more laps to go here at Oulton Park in round number 5 of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. But he might well back off enough, just to, again, like you were saying, if you have that time to walk back into, you might as well go for 1 lap less, although it is fun leading it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure Alex Walker will be loving this. 2 races, two massive gaps. It makes your life very easy when you don't have to worry about the cars pressing you behind. As we're seeing Weberski again applying some more pressure onto Max Maserati. He's soaking it up very well. I wonder if that move into the outside of his lops will be Weberski's choice again on Maserati if he gets the chance. Again, it's all about the exits round here because it's so narrow. If you can get your exits sorted. Because it's so narrow, you can't really dive up the inside on the brakes. So if you're in front, you can kind of slow it up, make sure you get the middle of the corner right, and then fire it out nice and quickly. And as you can see, Maserati, you haven't got time for Weberski to have that overlap by the time he gets to the next corner. So as long as he gets his exits nice and consistently, then he should be okay for the remaining 3.5 minutes.
Well, here's our debutant then for the round here at Oulton Park, the number 12 there of George Lyons. Now, whilst it is in the orange and black, that is a Graham Brunton racing car. So teammates of Logan Hanna and Chloe Grant, bit of a snap there, rolling through his lops, and I think that's going to cost him the drive up Clay Hill out of Knickerbrook. We will then focus on the black and yellow car. Weberski's got, surely he's going to be close to getting this. Might go for the up and under out of the final corner.
Here we go, looking for the cutback. He did a nice couple of cutbacks, I remember, at Snetterton as well, so he's obviously got that cutback down, and he's applying a lot of pressure to Maserati here. Will he have enough of an overlap to have a go into Old Hall?
Well, his teammates certainly did a bit earlier on. It's how he exact way he got past Maserati it did Tom Mills, but Weberski not given that opportunity. I've noticed Maserati goes for a very late apex at turn 1, or it might just be pissing the corner.
Yeah, there's a few different lines you can take into there, especially if you're defending. You can afford, as I mentioned, to go a bit wider and just try and get the exit. Just again, because the entries of the corners are so narrow, it's just so hard to force a move if you haven't got an exit from the last corner. Although it seems like Weberski's using that slipstream in the 500-metre straight down to the island corner, which is very, very quick through here. Maserati, do you see that? A bit of opposite lock through there. That corner is full commitment right there. And again, a bit of dirty air from the car in front, maybe a little bit less downforce contributing to that.
Yeah, just remember the 2 Hill Speed cars that are either side of the Kevin Mills racing car that we're focused on, that number 20. Those 2 red and white cars, the 81 and the 64, they both took new tyres for race 1. Weberski is still on the old tyres from qualifying, and he's very close to going for a move here on Maserati. Bit of the defensive move, obviously holding to the right-hand side. This is how he got past Megan Gilks. He's leaving it there, but not quite enough. Goes for the cutback, for the second cutback, but not quite close enough for Knickerbrook, and he's got to focus backwards.
Having a look into Knickerbrook there, that was a bit bold.
Bit tight.
It is really a bit tight. I remember a couple of years ago there was a couple of crashes in F3 when it was the GB3 championship, where cars were trying to force their way in there, but it's not. You don't really slow down for that right-hander, so unless you've got a big overlap when everyone gets bunched up, it's just a bit of a high-risk manoeuvre, and you can see that it's lost Weberski some time and also bought Maserati some valuable breathing space.
You will be thankful though that Alex Walker has already started another lap with them running around at 1 minute 36s with the pace as well from those behind. Alex Walker can't really drop off too much pace-wise. He's only got 6.6 seconds, so it does mean that we're on the penultimate lap of the race here at Oulton Park, so they will have one more of this. There's another few opportunities for Jared Weberski to try and make this move as he's right on the rear end of Maserati, but this is the thing, is that he's in that really awkward spot where he can't really go for anything too much because Megan Gilks is right there.
It's that difficult moment of attacking and defending. You know, if you're on your own, you might be using a lot wider lines trying to get those good exits, but obviously you go too wide, and you can see now Gilks is having a look at Weberski trying to take a move up towards the island corner. Again, it's a very fast corner, so you do need that overlap. Weberski placing his car excellently there, just right in the middle, making it hard to go both left and right.
Yeah, that was a nice little attempt from Megan Gilks. Wasn't really sure which way she wanted to go. Ended up backing out of it and will hang on to 6th position. This battle is, of course, for 4th. Those ahead have separated themselves quite nicely. Maserati clearly struggling with the speed at the moment. Curious to catch up with him post-race to understand what has been going on. Here's Weberski, very close. He's going to go to the outside once again into his lops. This surely is his best opportunity so far. This is how he got past Megan Gilks, as we'll go up to Alex Walker, who's leading the race at the moment. He will be coming around to start the final lap of the race. Would love to see the battle between Weberski and Maserati. I think Weberski might well have got through there.
It looked like actually maybe Maserati might have done just quite enough on the brakes, because if you're on the inside and you go deep enough there, that leaves no space for the driver on the outside. Let's have a look, see if they come over D Elite where they are. Yeah. So Tom Mills in second, obviously Nicholas Taylor having a look at that. Oh, side by side is the last corner, not quite enough of an overlap. Has Maserati seen him? Yes, he's seen him. Side by side to the last corner. Leaving the squeeze.
Oh, there's contact. Megan Gilks.
Megan Gilks could take both of them here.
Yeah, Gilks is coming through as well. So Weberski just coming across the line. This is starting the final lap of the race. Weberski just trying to hang on now to 4th position. He's gone up past Maserati. There was contact between Maserati and Weberski. Gilks has got up into the top 5, and the man that's been the most consistent so far this season, with a fourth, a second, and a second, he looks on for 6th at the moment.
Oh, just been forced.
That was mad.
That was great racing. I mean, I think Maserati just squeezed Boberski down into the last corner, but then thought he might have an overlap, so gave him enough room, which is great actually to see, to leave racing room like that. But unfortunately just lost out there with a bit of contact, and you see how much time you lose with that poor exit when he got onto the curb. So great racing from all of them. It was nice and close. Again, it would have been very, very close in there with those wheels interlocking. It's always dangerous.
Yeah, that's a bit of a brave moment, I must say. Obviously, fantastic entertainment as running through Druids, the black and yellow car, number 41. We've seen this a couple of times before with just a few corners. It's Jessica Edgar who has managed to get outgoing, who's the car ahead. So she's starting her final lap of the race, a lap down on our race leader. Alex Walker departs the final corner at Lodge, up and over Deerleap, and it is now 3 from 5 for Alex Walker. Elite Motorsports, the Thetford-based team, will absolutely love what they are seeing from Alex Walker. Dominant all day yesterday, on Saturday rather, and then dominant this morning as well. Superb.
Brilliant. You can see how much that meant to him. He was really chuffed with that, and that's exactly what he would have done. Lights to flag victory. Checked out at the start, no stress, setting fast lap after fast lap. Nicholas Taylor, I think, just challenging him on pace towards the end there, but a really dominant race. Hopefully saved a bit of tyres. Jared Weberski there, rightfully happily going from, was it P12 I think to P4 again?
P9 I think it was.
Sorry, my mistake. But and then still some fighting further down the field.
Yeah, Jack Sherwood trying to get past George Lyons, running up towards the final corner and over Deerleap. They're going to be very close across the line. I think it might well go the way of the number 12. I believe it certainly did, but not by much. That gap was 0.167. I think that means we've got a 100% record in the GB4 Championship, at least one position being separated by less than 2/10, which is not bad.
Oh, it shows how excellent these cars are to race. You know, they've got a really good balance of, you know, there's a lot of grip from the tyres. You've got a decent amount of power from those turbo engines, and you've got some downforce to keep the speed up, but not so much that we're really struggling to follow, because you can see how close the racing was and how close they're able to follow.
Yeah, look at those three between Jilks, Maserati and Weberski. It was superb, absolutely brilliant from start to finish. And like you say, another victory and a dominant one from Walker. It was 5.8 seconds in the end. He did also have the fastest lap of the race in the form of a 1:35.989, so pretty much everything perfect. Really.
Yeah, you can see that also the last lap times, you can see that Walker in the last couple of laps was just coasting at home. You know, he left a bit of time on the table, no need to make any silly mistakes at the end there. So yeah, dominant victory for Walker. Tom Mills, second place. He'll be chuffed with that after a good start, and then just again leading it home. Nicholas Taylor had a good race there, obviously making a nice couple of moves, and then closing the gap to Tom Mills there, and yeah, really good race.
I mean, Mills, obviously back in Snetterton, was very, very impressive indeed, because when he raced there, he had 2 podiums in the first 2 races, qualified 5th and 4th, and on both races moved up a couple of positions. It was brilliant.
Yeah, he's obviously got the starts down, and also made some really good moves in the first lap, so he's not afraid to get stuck in. You can see our race winner there, Alex Walker, chuffed with his race there. Well done to Elite Motorsport as well, because they were having a good time with Walker behind the wheel. Yeah, really good race. I think that was probably one of the best races, or great way to start the day's racing here at Oulton Park.
Unfortunately, Jack Sherwood, who of course is Alex Walker's teammate, was doing quite well early on, but obviously had that contact with Elias Alderstam. For the Elite Motorsports team, like I say, they've got one up there on the podium, and it is a 4th podium for Alex Walker.
There's Dad.
He's finished off the podium just once, and that was in the 3rd race in Snetterton. I think he has the pace to potentially work his way up the order in the 3rd race a little bit later on today.
It'll be very interesting to see, because obviously Alex showed that he's got some good racecraft in these cars as well. Yeah, a bit of congratulations from Nicholas Taylor and the Elite team as well. It's great to see the camaraderie between the teams there as well.
Yeah, it's kind of what you need, that support, of course, and the respect between the rivals. There's Tom Mills giving a congrats, I believe. It's great to see. Like, you want that sort of camaraderie. You want that a nice understanding between the drivers, that we're here not only as a junior formula, but also for a good bit of racing.
Yeah, exactly. Great to see it. Whether they'll be this friendly towards the end of the year when it gets to the crunch time of the championship is left to be seen. But no. Again, great racing, to be honest, in that race. It was really entertaining to watch that battle, for the battles all the way down the field as well.
Yes, we had so much fantastic racing. We're going to see that all the way throughout the day as well, of course. We've got GB3 on a little bit later on. We've got our 3rd race of the weekend from GB4 a bit later on in the afternoon. We'll go down to John Jackson, though, and hear from our podium finishers.
Yeah, I'm going to have to stop meeting Alex Walker like this, because this is the 3rd race win out of 5 races so far in the GB4 Championship. Although, Alex, I've got to say, the last one you won by 9 seconds. This one was just over 5 seconds. What are you playing at?
I know. I don't really know what to say, to be honest. Not a very good race, but no, yeah, it was really good from start to finish. And yeah, just massive thank you to everyone at Elite, because they've worked so hard since Snetterton to get the car right for this weekend, and it's showing.
Now obviously you've done so well in these first 2 races already. The reverse grid is a slightly different beast, so as much as you've been racing pretty much yourself, although Nicholas was fairly quick there, that race coming up later today, the 3rd race with the reverse grid, is going to be a bit different for you. What are you hoping from that one?
Just some solid points, to be honest. Obviously I'm starting right at the back, so just seeing how high up I can get, and hopefully can bring some good points home and maybe a podium.
Excellent stuff. Alex Walker, your championship leader, 3 wins out of 5 so far in the GB4 Championship. Tom Mills, who I've spoken to before on the podium before, and we've spoken before, Tom Mills, and you know, I think you've got a couple of podiums now. It's not going to be long until you're on that top step.
Hopefully not. Had a tough day Saturday. I ruined the clutch on the warm-up lap, so I just couldn't get going. And this whole weekend I've been just lacking a little bit of pace, but I've really been trying to dig deep, and the team have done a fantastic job suiting the car to my style and trying to calm me down in my driving style. So yeah, super happy. Great first lap again, and yeah, glad I got back on the podium.
I was going to say, you did well to get those couple of places from where you started. So what are you hoping for in the reverse grid race, which we're learning is a completely different beast?
Yeah, the reverse grid race really tough. It's hard to follow, it's hard to overtake, which is probably what you saw later on in that race. But my first lap's been really good. My starts have been good, so hopefully if I can get a few off the line and then just see if I can pick a few off like my teammate Jared did yesterday, then it should be good. It's a lot of fun, that reverse grid race. So.
All right, well, I'll let you head to the podium. Tom Mills there, your 2nd place driver, driving for his dad's team, Kevin Mills Racing. And got to find Nicholas Taylor. Where is Nicholas Taylor? Nicholas Taylor, of course, was the first ever GB4 race winner at Snetterton. There we go, back on the podium, Nicholas. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, I had a pretty bad start, but I had to have some redemption from yesterday for the team. I mean, the car's been amazing all weekend, so hopefully we can do the same in race 3. Yeah,
I was going to say, you struggled with a couple of starts both here and those last races at Snetterton, but you know what, your pace was very, very promising here. I don't know, Alex was a little bit ahead, but you were putting in some pretty good lap times there.
Yeah, I mean, I probably said it a couple of times, this is my favourite track, but the car's been amazing. I've been quite comfortable with the car here.
Yeah, okay, Nicholas Taylor, we'll let you get to the podium. Of course, Nicholas won the first ever GB4 race, 3rd on the podium here. He'll be one who's up there in the championship. So Alex Walker is leading the championship, and Lewis McGlade will run you through the full classification from this 5th round of the GB4 Championship.
Yeah, cheers, John. And of course, a fantastic victory then from Alex Walker. Just out front all day. He clearly loves Oulton Park. So far of the racing laps we've had here, we've had 24 racing laps, and he has led every single one across the round 4 and round 5 of the GB4 Championship, partnered by the BRDC. We'll take a look at the finishers, but before we get to that, I just want to ask you, I mean, what a crazy race. I think we can expect more from that in round 6 a bit later on the day.
I'd love to see more of that. You know, more of the same. Great racing all the way up and down the field. Some great racing at the start, and then also some really good clean racing as well. And that, unfortunately, there was only that one small incident with Jack Sherwood, and which is again, it's just with racing. It's a narrow track, easy to do. But other than that, you know, that battle for 4th place with Maserati, Jilks, and Waberski. What a race that was! So Waberski did well to get through all of those. You know, without, and again, a very clean racing as well. There was that small touch, but that's very close.
Well, I'll roll you through the finishers anyway, because we don't have it on screen at the moment, but it is Alex Walker who's in 1st place, of course, with Tom Mills and Nicholas Taylor 2nd and 3rd. Behind that, it was that fantastic battle for 4th place between Waberski for Kevin Mills Racing, and then the 2 hill speeds that roll off 5th and 6th, Jilks and Maserati, with Elias Alderstam in 7th place, Logan Hanna in 8th, George Lines in 9th, and Jack Sherwood finishing inside the top 10, although I think might have some issues a bit later on when it comes to the 3rd race of the weekend, where the race control will step in over that incident. Obviously, he was only 1/10 off of George Lines. Chloe Grant and Jessica Edgar rounding out our finishers. Do you think the race control will step in on that one and give a good pen? I'm throwing you under the bus a bit there.
I can't possibly say. Obviously, we'd need some more angles to see definitively there, because you know it looked like he went in quite late. But if he had an overlap earlier on in the corner, it could be deemed that maybe it was a racing incident if it wasn't seen in the mirrors of the car in front. So, but yeah, normally the car behind is generally is the one that can obviously pull out of the move and stop the contact. So I would say, unfortunately, this time it probably falls falls on the shoulders of Jack Sherwood.
Yeah,
but he'll learn from that. It's easily a mistake to make. It clearly wasn't malicious or anything like that. And great to see the podium here.
Yeah, Nicholas Taylor obviously being brought up. Fantastic to see him back onto the podium. We saw him only on the podium in the first race of the season with that fantastic victory at Snetterton, completely dominant that day, and then issues after that. We see him back on the podium, and it is great to see. Second place, Tom Mills, third podium of the season for him. Obviously had the double back in Snetterton. Didn't do too well yesterday with a stall on the grid. And then our race winner, Alex Walker, who has been section perfection all the way through the GB4 Championship so far. A second and now 3 victories. What a season he's having, but it is a long season, so let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. That's typically my move.
Oh yes, long way to go yet. We've got a lot of rounds ahead of us, so yeah, long way ahead of us, and a great start, but hopefully he'll carry that on. Tom Mills is, to be honest, apart from that one stall, he's been very consistent as well.
Very good, yeah.
He's had what, a third, a second, a fourth, and now a second, and then just that 11th on Saturday morning.
There's plenty of opportunity for them to come back. Of course, it's a 24 race season, and we've only done 5 of them, so you do the math, that's 19 left to go. So we won't start speaking of the championship too early in the running. We did see a little bit of champagne being sprayed around yesterday from Maserati. I don't think they like to get the race overalls too damp, considering there's more races to come. As now Alex Walker gets interviewed by Mark Werrell, which is always a nice little thing after, a nice little treat post-race.
Yeah, well, some drivers like it, some drivers less so.
Did you like being interviewed?
Yeah, I you know me. You've heard me on the comms now. I like my mouth runs pretty well, so.
Yeah, no. So do I just love being interviewed. Either way, we'll go down to John Jacks, who's catching up a bit more down in the paddock.
You're not gonna. I can tell from your face you're not happy.
No. Yeah, I'm really disappointed. I just really struggled with pace there, but we'll look over and see where we lost it. It was a good fight with Jared at the end. That was really enjoyable. We got a bit of wheel banging, but it's racing. Yeah, we'll see what we can do for the reverse grid now. But yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah. There'll be some overtaking to do in that reverse grid race. And you know you're getting pretty good starts, so you must be fairly confident you can make up a few places early on.
Yeah, it looks like off the line we're really quick. Again, we went from 4th to 2nd again, straight off the line. So we'll see what we can do in the reverse grid off the line, see if we can do something similar again. Hopefully get ahead of a couple of people, but I need to sort my pace out because just not really good enough in that last one.
Okay, well we'll let you go now, Max. P6, not bad at all. Nice and consistent there for Max, always in and around the points. Let's see if we can find his teammate Megan Jokes. If you come with me now. This is Hill Speed Racing, of course, the red and white car. Now Megan was in a fight there with Jared Oberski. He eventually came 4th, Megan Jokes came 5th, and Max Maserati there, as you saw, came 6th. Very disappointed. You could tell by his face as soon as I walked over. Let me just see if Megan will have a word with me now. She's just chatting with her race engineer. Let me see if she will talk to me. I think they might be deep in conversation. I might be getting in their way, but we'll see. Let's see. Will she give me a word? Megan, we're live on our live stream. A good battle there with your teammate Max, who we've just spoken to, who's very disappointed, and also Jared Oberski. We saw Jared sort of overtake you first after you held him off for quite a while, and then it all went a bit crazy. Are you happy with how that ended?
Yeah, I am happy. That was a really fun race, nose to gearbox the whole time. That's sort of the racing that I really want to be involved in. So yeah, over the moon with the racing that we had, and didn't have a great first lap. Lost a few spots there, and had to work to get them back, especially the one with Max. I think it was 2 laps to go, or 1 lap to go out of Lodge. Max and Jared just got a little sideways together, and I sort of swooped in on the inside, thank you very much, and kind of pushed Jared up along the straight to get by at least one of them. And then, yeah, I felt I had a good pace throughout the race, especially later on. So, yeah, we'll see what I can do in the reverse grid. It'll be a bit of a disadvantage this time rather than an advantage, thanks to my good qualifying. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Well, we obviously saw Megan did win the first ever reverse grid race at Snetterton from, were you pole position then? Second. So you still made a place and you managed to hold it for the whole race. So best of luck with that reverse grid race. Megan Jokes there coming 5th in this race here. I just want to see if we can find someone else. A lot of the drivers, if they've had a disappointing race, as you can imagine, they're not really wanting to be spoken to. Let's have a look. I would like to see Jared Oberski, who obviously was just mentioned there in that battle with those two. He is not around. Yeah, I think we might struggle with more. So I think that's perhaps where we'll have to leave it here for this coverage of this race. Of course, Alex Walker, a massive lead now in the championship. Very, very confident, winning by over 5 seconds here to go with his first race win, where he won by over 9 seconds, which is incredible. Megan Jokes there, of course, by the way. Her brother Nick Jokes is racing in the upcoming GB3 race. You can watch that. We're going live around 12:40. Things can change a little bit, so make sure you keep your eyes on the MSV live stream you're watching now, or of course the MSV website or the GB3, GB4 websites. It's everywhere. Anything to do with GB3, GB4, you'll find the times we're live. And well, we'll see you in a little bit. And obviously, if you missed any of this, you joined halfway through, you can re-watch it here on the live stream. But we will be back at 12:40 for the second race of the season of the GB3 Championship here at Oulton Park.